I run a company that is a specialist in a specific kind of software called Atlassian software. So they create software for supporting the building of software, but also other people use it for doing things like managing support requests. You know, if you need help, there's a help desk. So there's a help desk bit of software that they have, and they also have this wiki thing called Confluence, and that's used by lots of people for managing things like documentation. And so we deliver training for those several bits of software, and we also do consultancy around that. But I do a lot of work direct for Atlassian, and so we do the training for them. And in the next 6 months, I'll be doing a lot of development for content for training for them. So that's what I do.
And what do you like about your work?
Well, I really like working for Atlassian because they're a really good company, and they're very, their values are very close to my own. So they're very much about inclusivity and diversity, and they do things like they support, everyone has something like a certain percentage of their working time to do charity work. They do support lots and lots of charities. They support lots of charities in places like, in developing countries where they provide grants for different companies, especially things like women-owned companies and that kind of thing. They're just a really good company, and I don't work direct. Well, I will be working direct for them for a while, but not a full-time kind of employee, more contracting. And they are supposed to be really good to work for directly as well. They'll really look after you, and they treat people with a lot of respect. They treat their employees with a lot of respect.
Is it run by a woman?
No, it's two guys, but they're really nice. I've been working in that area for a long time, so I know them quite well. So I chat to them, and they started this off in their bedrooms, in about 2004 or something. I started doing it in about 2006, when they were really tiny. And I went to San Francisco for their first conference, and they were really small at that point. So I was just hanging out, chatting with them, and now they're like multi-billionaires.
That's all right then.
I'm not quite a multi-billionaire, but
no.
So, but running your own company, I mean, it's a lot of stress, because especially if you've got people working with you, you've got to pay them, and so you have a lot of money around to give them to pay them and pay taxes and VAT and all of that. So there's all of that to manage, but it does give you a lot of freedom. So if you don't want to do some work, you don't take it on, and it's good to be able to be in control of what you're doing as well.
So how did you get started then? If you started in 2006, how did you start out?
So I originally got into that area because when I came back from teaching abroad, I started doing some work in the sort of web area, and picked that up, and that was when it was huge in the late 90s. Even though my background isn't technical really at all, my degree isn't, my master's isn't. So anyway, I picked that up, and then it was very easy to get a job at that point if you had any sort of skills. So I eventually ended up getting, I went to college in Manchester to do a night class, and they asked me if I wanted to teach it, so I did. And then I started working there, and then I went off and did different things. But that's where the web background came in, the sort of development background. And then it was in the Geek Up in Manchester. It's like a geek meetup, and there were people who'd founded that a partner company. So I started doing support for them and working on with one of their apps, which they use for Atlassian software. So they're an Atlassian partner company, and now they're like really big. They're like 400 people. And again, they all were working in their bedrooms in Warrington, but there are different people running the company now. So I worked for them for a long time, and then we decided to just try and do it ourselves. So that's what we did.
And what advice would you give to somebody else trying to start out?
Start out generally, or start out in my area?
Start out in your area.
What would I do? There's one thing that nowadays there's so many training courses that you can pick up. So, just on Coursera and what's the other ones where they do MOOCs? Online training, which is free basically. It's brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
So there's loads of those for web development, for how to do things with AWS and all of the different apps you can use, programming languages. So definitely, if you're good at programming, then learn Java, and you'll go very far with that. In most cases, it's just persevere, I think, because for me, I didn't have a technical background, but I didn't give up, and I did work very hard to try and understand and get those skills. So work hard and persevere and don't give up and go through all those training courses. There's so much available on the net nowadays that, I don't even think I don't know, but I wouldn't say for sure, but I don't particularly think that you really need to go to university anymore.
No.
I think you can get all of the skills. It depends what course you're doing, of course. But something like what I'm doing, I don't think I needed to go to university really for it. I guess I'm better at writing than I would have been.
Yeah.
I was from a writing background.
Well, we're finding a lot, especially like we're kind of interviewing people that, university isn't, especially nowadays, the only path to kind of go down.
Yeah, exactly.
Many careers, many.
Yeah, you start lower on the ladder and get trained while you're working. If you can get like a low paid job, picking up the skills and then training yourself on those courses that are free, then you probably do really well, I think. But it just depends, different people have different needs, don't they?